And this is the one that I find interesting. It's about dressing for church. Okay? It's about dressing for church. It seems to be a hot topic. I'm not sure why it's even a hot topic. I don't know why people actually argue over this thing. And people are saying that I'm old-fashioned. Like, I'm the one who says it's better to dress up for church. But they're like, oh, come on, come as you are. You know, we've seen a bunch of these different episodes come up like this too. What I want to bring up to you guys is this. There's a parable of the wedding banquet, and this comes from Matthew chapter 22, 22 verse 11, okay? And in Matthew chapter 22 verse 11, in the parable of the wedding banquet, what happens is, it says, when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes, okay? So this is a parable. All right. So in this parable, it's about a wedding banquet and a man comes in not dressed for the wedding. All right. And for us who wants to know what the parable actually means, what are clothing? What is clothing in when you want to interpret it in the Bible? How does the Bible interpret clothing? The difference between clean clothes and dirty clothes. The difference between nice clothes and terrible clothes, like beggar's clothes, right? In the Bible, what is it actually talking about? And you'll actually find that in Revelation chapter 19, verse 8. And in Revelation chapter 19, verse 8, it talks about the saints and says, fine linen, bright and clean, was given her to wear. Fine linen stands for the righteous acts of God's holy people, all right? So in the Bible, if you want to interpret clothes is about your righteousness in the spiritual world, when you want to interpret it spiritually. To have clean, bright, white clothes, it means those are the types of actions you've had, righteous actions. If your clothes are tattered and dirtied like a beggar, that means your actions are like that too, okay? So people say to me, well, Pastor Sky, why would you bring up this verse about the wedding banquet and clothing when it's a parable? It's symbolic. It's not really talking about real clothes, right? It's true. I understand people are going to bring that up. But the thing that we have to understand is this. Whenever Jesus or the Bible uses a parable, why does God use that as a parable? Because both are true. They're both true. So a parable compares two things and both are true, which means that even someone going to a wedding banquet, if you don't dress properly, people look down on you like, come on, what are you doing? That's so disrespectful, right? So it's saying that, yeah, this is true too about clothing, just as it's true about righteous actions, right? The parable itself, what's it about? Well, Matthew chapter 22, verse 14 tells you what that parable is about, where Jesus says, many are invited, but few are chosen. Right? Many are invited, but few are chosen, which means that everyone is invited to the wedding banquet, but only those that are dressed properly are chosen, right? Those who have the right actions, the clean, righteous actions are chosen. However, Jesus compares it to your clothes at a wedding banquet, right? He's comparing it like, hey, just as we know it's true that if a beggar comes in, if someone is not dressed for the wedding banquet, the king will kick them out because it's a lack of respect for his son, the prince. In the same way, many people are invited to the wedding banquet of going to heaven, of being with God. But few are chosen. Who are the ones that are chosen? Those that live the righteous life with righteous actions, right? But what it's saying is, there is a proper clothing for each and every occasion, right? There is proper, right? Just like a wedding, just like a job interview, just like meeting the president, right? All these things that we look at and we say, obviously, I'm not going to dress in t-shirts and shorts and sandals at my best friend's wedding. And even if it wasn't my best friend's wedding, I still wouldn't wear that. If I went to a job interview, I'm not going to be dressed casually. I'm going to be dressed for a job interview. There is an occasion for each of the things in life. If I'm going to meet the prime minister or president of a country, even if you don't like that president, even if you don't like that prime minister, you really think you're going to dress like a bum to meet the leader of a country? You wouldn't. there is a proper time and proper occasion. And we all understand that in our daily lives. We're not going to be doing those things. We're not going to dress in that way. We understand it. So the question I give to you is, why wouldn't we understand this same principle when it comes to us going to church? Right? Why wouldn't you? And we have to understand is this, when we go to church, and I'm talking specifically the Sabbath, right? Specifically the Sabbath. Gosh, someone is saying, should I be wearing a suit right now? I'm talking about the Sabbath, right? The special day given to God. Gosh, John Wick. John Wick is literally trying to kill me right now. Right? So here we are, right? What was the thing I was just saying right now? Oh, I was saying, so when we go to church, when we go to that service, we go to praise and worship, to serve God, to give praise to God, to receive the words of God. Who are we going to meet? Are we meeting a buddy? Is it buddy God? Buddy Jesus, right? Is it my pal Jesus? Or are we actually going to meet the creator of all, the creator of all things, the person who created me, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords? If we're going to dress up for a president, if we're going to dress up for a prime minister, even if we don't like them, then how much more should we be dressing up for God? Like, don't you think that's fair? How many of you, if you're the one interviewing people for a job interview and someone comes in shorts and a t-shirt and sandals, would you take them seriously? Imagine if it's your wedding and your friend comes to the wedding dressed in street clothes. Would you be happy? And what would we be thinking? This person doesn't respect me. Am I being honest? Wouldn't you say this person doesn't respect me or love me, that at my wedding, he's going to dress in street clothes? Wouldn't you think that? So when we understand this concept and the principles in our own hearts and minds, that is going to help us to be like, yeah, why would I do this for God then?